Hey folks, how you guys doing? Hope you're all having a great day today. Hopefully you guys are staying busy and doing as much as you guys can. Everyone's at home much more so than we normally are, it seems like, because of this whole situation the world is in. Yeah, not much to say about that. It's just weird for everybody. I think everyone's getting a little stir crazy. A little vlog video. I got a couple things on my list. Piece of paper, it's hard to pick up. Stairs. So some questions about the stairs. I don't think I ever addressed it in one of these videos. I took the stairs down in the back of the shop for a couple reasons. Number one, space. It's just a lot of wall space and floor space dedicated to stairs. Number two, is just a convenience thing. I brought my computer back down here. I know I've gone back and forth with having my computer in my office upstairs versus downstairs. The loft upstairs is now being used as a loft, long-term storage. I still have all my office cabinets and file cabinets and stuff that I don't use frequently up there, but my computer, I use it way too frequently to have it upstairs. And it's not a matter of going up and down the stairs. I'm not that lazy. It's just a time thing. You know, if you walk into the shop to get, or say I leave my keys or my cell phone or something on my computer desk, well, all the way to the back of the shop, up the stairs, all the way to the middle of the shop to get whatever I need just for a super quick thing, back to the back of the shop, down the stairs, back out the door. It's just a time thing. It's just way more convenient to have my computer downstairs. And that's one of those things that, you know, experience is ultimately the best form of education there. So while it does save a little bit more space to put my office and computer up there, it's just not convenient. So I took the stairs down, and since then I've been using this ladder, my extension ladder, and it's it just by itself is way better. It's so much faster to get up and down this ladder than a set of stairs. It takes up very little space, it's not permanent, and solves all of my criteria, all my needs to go up and down the loft. Now, that means I can't carry heavy stuff up there to store. For the most part, anything that I can fit in a backpack that I keep up there at the stairs is easy to bring up and down. I can grab as much as I can hold in one hand and then walk down the stairs or come down the ladder one-handed. That's easy to do. But super large stuff, well, it's not convenient to store it up there. Big deal. This setup works out really, really well anyway, because I wanted to move the CNC into that back corner. And I knew if I left the stairs there and put the CNC in front of it, then I basically guaranteed myself that I would never use that corner of the shop for anything. It would always be an unoptimized use of space due to the stairs, so I just took it out. That's that. I'm glad I took them out. And also because this ladder is so, it does the job just fine. It's user-friendly. There's no need for me to build anything. There's no need for a pull-down set of attic stairs or a spiral staircase. There's no need for it. That just works. So that's good. Next on the list is paint the back of the mirror. So on my last build video was that ash jewelry cabinet for my wife, which I really, really, really love the way that it turned out, other than the back of the mirror, as I explained in the video. And a lot of people suggested simply painting the back of the mirror. And while that would work for the appearance, the cosmetic reasons, to make it look not ugly, it really wouldn't work long term because I need some type of material on the backside to stop the backside of the earrings from potentially scratching through that material and damaging the mirror itself. So paint is probably just as durable as the backside of the mirror is right now, but the earrings, I would imagine, would eventually scratch through it. So that's the reason why I was suggesting, or why I settled on using some type of velvet or maybe a piece of leather, something, I don't know. But that's what I'm going to do once all of this lockdown, stay-at-home stuff, shelter-in-place stuff ends. Just not right now for obvious reasons. So I'm hoping the earrings won't damage it in the meantime. I don't think so. I think that's more of a long-term, constantly opening the door every day, and you know, that type of long-term rubbing, which will cause a problem. But simply painting it black would only, you know, solve half of the concern there. Dust collection is done on the CNC machine. I released a video on that, I guess, last weekend. It works really, really well, and it's all made out of cheap materials. So I completely overthought the execution of that dust boot. My plan was to use, well, my first plan was to use 1-inch thick HDPE, but I ended up breaking it, and then which was not an inexpensive test. My second idea was to use a 1/2-inch thick acrylic top plate, similar to the one I had on my last CNC machine. I purchased the amount of acrylic that I need, which isn't cheap by any means. Not crazy expensive, but you know, it's a few meals. And then I ended up not even using it because Corey from Avid CNC, I was talking to him about it, and he suggested just using plywood. And I responded with, well, yeah, I could prototype with plywood, but I don't want to use it for the final design because, you know, screwing into the end grain or the side of plywood, just not something that you would think of as strong enough. Well, I did it and it worked. So appreciate it, Corey. Saved me some money. But I have that acrylic here, and I'm going to keep it on hand just to use it whenever. But I overthought the material side of that. The whole dual 4-inch dust boot, as far as materials go, it only takes a 16 by 16 inch square of 3/4 inch plywood, which is a lot less expensive, and probably every one of us has that much scrap 3/4 inch plywood on hand, especially if you're running a CNC frequently. So yeah, I thought it was going to be a pretty interesting process of not necessarily documenting the prototyping, but documenting the results of the prototyping and showing each stage. Because when you're trying to engineer something, you know, from scratch, for me anyway, it's kind of sometimes can be a slow process, and the ideas don't come right away. You know, you just have to think about it for a little while and tweak a little bit here and there, and eventually you come up with a nice design. So if you try to record all of that, I see that as getting kind of crazy. So I decided to just get it all done and then tell my process of how that happened, as far as how I got to those results. And I think a lot of people liked that approach, so that was pretty cool. A lot of good feedback on that particular video. Next up on the CNC is the spoil board and vertical table. I've got the spoil board completely done. It is a little bit thicker than I initially planned, but it can always be, you know, milled a little bit thinner, which is also a good thing because as it gets chewed up, I've got a lot of material to mill down. And the reason why it's a little bit thicker is I went with Armor Tools Quick Track, and specifically went with that because it has Quick Track. It has T-Track on both top and bottom, so you can use the bottom to put bolts into the table and actually bolt it down, rather than traditional T-Track, which relies on very small screws going into MDF. I've had a lot of that stuff pull back up, and I know a lot of people who have had the same result, where that just those small screws pull up, especially in something such as MDF, which doesn't have a lot of, you know, grain that the screws can really hold on to. It's just dust glued together, right? So I went with that T-Track. Well, that T-Track is about 3/4 of an inch tall, and I wanted to maintain a maximum thickness of the board that it was being bolted to, because the initial first layer of MDF on the CNC, because that spans all of the interior webs. So you got like a 14-inch gap or 13-inch gap in between the webs, and if you cut down and recess the T-Track into that, well, you're losing a lot of stability in between those webs of the CNC frame. So full 3/4 inch layer of MDF, then the 3/4 inch tall Quick Track, and then I need to be above that for an actual surface to cut through, you know, the wasteboard material. So I have a full 3/4 inch third piece of MDF, and of course that gives me a lot of material to mill down as it gets chewed up, but it results in the wasteboard being a little bit thick, which isn't really a problem. I still have more vertical Z-axis cutting capacity on this machine that I did in my last machine, and I never really maxed out the depth of the last machine. And plus, if I do it on this machine, I've got a vertical table where I can sit stuff down below the surface and clamp it that way. So I don't see it being a problem at all. Not for what I'm going to be doing with it. I don't know if I said it or not, but I did not get to the vertical table just yet. That's going to be either later today or tomorrow or the next day. And once I get that done, then I'll have all the footage to wrap up the third video on the CNC, which is my wasteboard as well as the vertical table, and how I'm going to be actually using that for precise setups. That may actually be the fourth video, because I think the third one is a video that I want to do on a machine file, basically a VCarve file that has every component of my wasteboard into that, and I'll use that as a template to design all of my cutting with. I think the machine file will be video 3, and I'll probably put video 3 and 4 back to back, alternate days, or maybe the same day, simply because I don't want to release a video that's just on my main channel of just computer software, because that's going to have everyone who's not interested in it complaining. So have a little bit of, both at the same time. But I do think when this whole CNC series is done, it'll be an excellent documentation of everything that I've done to the machine, what the machine is, how it is all working for me, and it'll be a good place to point people to, because I know that it's going to be a common source of questions as far as all the CNC stuff for this machine. But I'm really looking forward to the vertical table, because I want to see if it's going to be possible to, and I'm not a production shop, but just as a way to show the value of this type of, the CNC technology. I know a lot of people aren't into it, blah, 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 who cares, whatever. But I want to see if it's possible to start to finish, knock out a complete set of 2 end tables and a coffee table with some nice designs, not some just very basic shaker style stuff. Maybe something a little bit nice that, see if I can knock it all out in a single day, start to finish. I think that'd be pretty cool. And be that fast due to the machine, due to the technology. So while a lot of people are, just never going to get over the fact of CNC is or isn't woodworking, who gives a crap? I mean, it doesn't really matter. That's all opinions. I am really fascinated by how the technology can benefit, whoever's using it. So I'm fascinated by it, and I'm going to continue to pursue it and experiment with it. That's that. I added a couple CNC files to my online store. So I added the Green and Green tool tote CNC files. So if you don't want to buy the templates and you have your own CNC machine, you can cut out templates. Or, if you have your own CNC machine, you just cut it out on a piece of final, the material for the project. I also added, what else did I add? A few free things. Well, the dual 4-inch CNC boot, dust shoe, boot shoe, whatever, for the CNC machine. That's up there for free with all the materials lists and all that. And then also I added my tool database for VCarve for my Axiom CNC machine. So when I had my Axiom for a year and a half, and I really tweaked the tool database to try and get as much as possible out of the machine, optimize feeds and speeds and all that such. And I didn't really deviate much from my final settings. I don't think I did at all. So on that machine, I was running in 157 inches per minute with a 1/4 inch. The most common one was a 1/4 inch 2-flute end mill, up or down, doesn't matter. I was running 157 inches per minute, 1/4 inch depth of cut. I forget the step over, and like 15,000-ish RPM. But anyway, all that's on the tool database. You can download it and use it. It's completely free on my website. After I have a lot of experience with this machine and this particular setup, I'll do the exact same for this. My tool database setup for this machine, I'll put it for free on my website, because I think that's one of the most helpful things that anybody who's just learning CNC stuff is, that's the area that the most questions are, is, well, what's the feeds and speeds and all that stuff for the different bits, for the different machines. And I think that's something that could help a lot of people. So I just heard a noise. So that's out there for free. I'll do the same thing for this machine in just a little bit. Next thing on the list is I knocked out a quick win project as an experiment. So I've already got one video completely edited and unlisted on YouTube, waiting for another video to go side by side with it, because I made it was just a quick win project, something I can knock out in a couple hours, which is this. It's an ash whiteboard, but it was a couple experiment things. Well, I've already experimented with this particular type of whiteboard. This is actually a roll-up film that you can purchase on Amazon really cheap, and it's an easy way to get dry erase board material without having to buy a big panel. So you just stick it, it's peel and stick. You stick it down to a piece, which in this case is just MDF. And then I used half lap joints for the frame, so it's pretty strong. And then just for decorative purposes, I experimented with phenolic rod. So this is the natural brown canvas phenolic rod to pin it. So there's a couple experimental little things, also a quick win project, and then of course there's a curly ash marker shelf. So that's pretty cool. This was also experiment because Thomas, shop apprentice guy, Tommy boy, I had him use the camera the entire day. So I didn't touch the camera at all. So every shot you see in that video, that was Thomas. And it was all handheld. We didn't use the tripod or camera stand at all. So that was kind of an experiment. We were planning on him recording it completely, and then him and I both editing it so we can, talk through the process there. But we ran out of time that particular day, so I just went ahead and edited it the next morning. I did that the next morning. The problem with that video is my lav mic. So this mic right here you see in my shirt, this is a Rode Wireless Go. Super convenient. It's just a little piece of square plastic right there. So there's no lav mic. My previous setup, I would run my lav mic up the back of my shirt, through my hat, and clip it right here. So it's always at a fixed distance away from my mouth, no matter which way I went. Very consistent audio, but having a wire through my hat and then down my back and my shop apron, my work apron would kind of mess with it, and it was just kind of annoying. So once these came out, I got these for audio. The problem was, right before recording that video, one of them broke. One of the transmitter, the microphone itself broke. It would not charge. So I put them on the charger the night before, like I always do. The next day, right when we get ready to record, the battery's still dead. It never charged. I messed with the port, messed with everything. Did not charge at all. So it was still under warranty. I sent it off back to Rode, and they sent back another one. All of that to say, the video for this has crappy audio. Because as my setup is right now, as I'm recording, what I do is I record two microphones at the same time. One is this microphone, and one is a shotgun mic on top of the camera. So the shotgun mic records into the left channel. This one records into the right channel for stereo audio, one of the two. And then whatever track I drag it to, I have a template set up on my video editor. So whatever track that I drag it to, it only uses the right or only uses the left, so that I can choose which microphone to use. Because as I'm at a tool, tools are really loud. Obviously, I don't want to use this microphone because it's going to be clipping and horrible sound. But with this microphone on top of the camera, the further I get away from the microphone, the crappier it sounds. So having two of them at one time gives me a couple options to go by, a couple options to use. And unfortunately, for this video, the only option that I had was the onboard shotgun mic, and because of that, the audio sucks. I think I rambled a lot there. The audio sucks, so I want to hold off a little bit on publishing that one until I can, again, have something else that's, piggybacks, so people won't complain too much. Hopefully, that's the strategy anyway. That's it. I got to get off here because it's time to mow the lawn. Well, I'm not mowing the lawn. I hired a boy from the community to mow the lawn because everyone's out for school, and it's convenient for everybody. But that's going to mess up the audio too. So you guys take care. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next video.